our Chipotle programs for the last couple of years with the fighting game community have been 10 to 12 month programs, and they've seen a 2x increase in purchase intent. Now, there were certain bottom funnel tactics like buy get offers, but that 2x increase in purchase intent exceeds that month window for a buy get offer. And so it shows that, like, consideration's up, brand awareness is up, and then purchase intent's up. Why? Because the brand's coming in and showing up as an insider, and that community feels like we're talking to them, and they're rewarding the brand not only by cheering for them at Evo, which is an amazing moment, but also like continuing to support the brand through purchase behavior.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our inaugural edition of Leaderboard Insights. I'm Nathan Lindberg, the head of brand partnerships here in North America. Joining me this week is a legend in the gaming and esports space, as well as sports, my good friend, Chris Mann. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
What a rousing introduction, sir. Thank you so much. I feel like we've been here before and done this many times, and I'm looking forward to adding some new wrinkles and hot takes to this conversation for your inaugural takeoff on this podcast, vlog, whatever you want to call it.
I like it. Chris, we like to focus in here on insights and information, actionable things that people can take away and utilize in their everyday lives when it comes to marketing and advertising, specifically around the video game space. So tell us a little bit about your current role at REVXP, and also give us a little bit of a dabble of that history of how you got here.
Yeah, so I lead REVXP, which is a gaming-focused division of Revolution. Revolution's a global integrated sports marketing agency, so we do much more than just gaming. Like many agencies, we have a variety of services, whether it be consulting, experiential, hospitality, research and insights, creative, and where we really differ is, we're brand first. And on the gaming side, where Revolution's goal is to connect brands with fans. Our goal at REVXP is to connect brands with a younger, more engaged, more digital savvy, passionate about gaming audience, that community, that fan. And so that's our role within the industry, within our industry, as well as within the Revolution kind of family of brands. Rev also has Rev United, which is focused on soccer or football, depending on where you are in the world, as well as Rev Youth, which obviously name speaks for itself in terms of engaging with youth audiences. And so I've been with Rev, it's going to be 5 years now in September. It's been a great run. We've done some really cool things, some really best in class things across the industry. And before that, I was on the team side for a few years, probably familiar with Dignitas, where it was, one of the iconic League of Legends teams, been around for a long time. And before that, I was at WME, where I led T-Mobile's entry into gaming and esports, where Nathan and I, of course, met on around the largest, the largest stage at the Microsoft Plaza outside of E3 for a really cool FGC endeavor. It's funny how things kind of come full circle. I'm sure we'll get to that. And then you talk about sports, you could see a lot of sports stuff behind me. I led Campbell's Chunky Soup's NFL partnership for a decade while at another agency. So been in the industry working with brands for 20 plus years at this point.
Yeah, I want to just dive in a little bit on that further. Obviously, Chipotle in particular has done a great job of finding properties and partnerships that are underutilized or available for them in a big capacity. You all have not invested in the flashiest of properties, whether it's the NHL, whether it's FGC. These are not the properties that people think about first and foremost, but the ownership opportunities that you've created, the connection and the size and scale of what you've been able to do feels like it's led to a really credible and successful outcome. And so talk a little bit about kind of how you thought about FGC and how you thought about that audience as a destination, whether it was because it was a key insight from your research, or was it just a situation of, hey, there's a really underserved community here that will create fanaticism for us?
I think it was a little bit of both, right? And I think, I can't speak to what Chipotle does on the NHL, but I can tell you on the gaming front, that client is really focused on finding white space, right? And there was when we did the FGC, there was a quote from Chris Mann. I'll paraphrase it, but he's like, hey, we zig when others zag, right? And we actually were one of the first brands that created a Fortnite map. Before every brand created a Fortnite map, there was the Chipotle Farm to Foil speedrun many years ago. Before that, it was one of the second or third maps that a brand created, right? So we'd been there. We knew that. But then you see the trend. Everybody's creating these maps. Everybody's doing this. And I think to that brand's credit, they want to do things that others don't. And they want to find white space, right? And that's hard in gaming. That's really hard because the platforms, the games, the creators that bring scale, which is key to delivering ROI and cultural relevance, which is why brands are in gaming, they have a lot of partners, right? And listen, we partnered with 100 Thieves. We were one of the early partners. We partnered with Tim the Tap Man, and Tim's great partner, and 100 Thieves were great when we partnered with them. And, but then you start seeing like all these other brands started, now next thing you know, you're one of 10 as opposed to one of 2 or 3. And we like to be one of 2 or 3, if not the only one, right? And I think that's something that's really valuable. And so that's where the FGC kind of like took hold, right? And, we knew the FGC was acquired by new leadership, some old friends from when I was at WME, Sony PlayStation, which obviously is the platform of fighting games. We had strong relationships there from friends that were starting there. Shout out to Jay Scarano. He was there. He called me like his first day. And he's like, you got to think about the FGC. And I was like, this is what we need to do. And this is how we think about it. And, and they delivered. And whether it be our partnership with Evo or our partnership with Street Fighter year 1, and then eventually being the first brand to do Twitch drops for free chips and guac for the launch of Street Fighter 6, like thanks to Capcom for giving us their drops. Usually, as you know, that's something only essentially afforded to game publishers, and they kind of gave that to us as part of our partnership. And so that was like a combination of like right place, right time, brand having the right mindset, us at our side having the right relationships and industry expertise to know, hey, this space, this is ripe for opportunity. Brands have been in the FGC, but they haven't done it well. And here's how you're going to do it well. We're going to combine a major game release with marquee moment, with first of its kind opportunities on massive scale platforms like Twitch or Sony PlayStation. And we're not going to just do it as like little one-offs. We're going to bring this whole thing together as a cohesive program over a 10 to 12 month period that's now turned into 2+ years. And so I think that is how we kind of separated it and used everything that we do really well and the mindset of the client, our relationships to kind of bring that program together, right? That's why, you see that, you hear that program talked about. That's why, the community shows up for the brand still to this day. And we're really excited. Chipotle will be back at Evo in a month, and we've got some really cool stuff planned that people are going to be like, wow, we thought that was cool already. Holy, like these guys really understand what's going on. And like, they thought about all the things that we need as a community for these 30,000 plus people that are on site. And like, this is like next level. And so these little things that we've done, even like last year, the Chipotle extra match was a segment we rolled out at Evo, and it was a very easy segment, right? What's a pain point at an esports competition? You're streaming 10, 15 hours a day watching. There's a lot of ads, but Evo, esports competitions, they need ads. They need partners to essentially fund. So we're like, okay, we got enough ads. Let's do something cool. Let's find a pain point and solve for that. And so we rolled out the Chipotle extra match. And what the Chipotle extra match was essentially not everyone can make the main stage at Evo. And with that insight and knowledge, we said, okay, the extra match, instead of running an ad, we're going to cover people who are just maybe playing in pool play. Those players like you and I, Nate, that are never going to get to the top level. But hey, let's get some love because we got friends watching at home. And now we're on the mainstream, right? It's the Chipotle extra match. And instead of having an ad, that's what we ran. That was the segment that we kind of owned during that time. It was better than an ad because people were talking about it leading into Evo, after Evo, how amazing it was, how thoughtful it was. And I think that kind of insight and looking at it like, we're going to give up an ad, but we're going to do this instead. And that's why that brand love happens.
What would you say are some of the biggest limitations right now in terms of getting the brands into these experiences? I mean, either from a partnership side or just from a basic media side.
Well, I think brand marketers are generally conservative. Like they're used to partnering and they have a certain comfort level with like partnering with the NFL or partnering with an athlete, an entertainer, a Marvel movie. And that comfort level may not be there yet when it comes to gaming, esports, gaming, and platforms. There's so many entry paths into this space. And so that's why it's like, whoa, what am I? And then you think about live streaming and you see all this stuff all the time about some content creator got arrested or did this or did something stupid. And it's like, they're like, well, maybe that's not for us. Or there's guns, and violence in games, even like Fortnite, even though it's more cartoony, all the way up to like Call of Duty or CSGO, which is very, very unfriendly for brands, who have like that family friendly stance. And so I think that like comfort level that they have around traditional sports is not, or entertainment is not there yet in gaming. However, there are pathways in for brand marketers looking to unlock the power of the gaming community. For instance, esports has a lot of the same pathways as traditional sports partnerships, right? Sponsor a league, a team, a segment, logo integrations, right? I think Riot's done a really good job with that, especially on a global level. I think what you guys are doing, making it more digestible, making it more turnkey, right? Because not every brand is going to be ready for like that Chipotle jump into like the FGC and like this real bespoke and cool stuff that we do. That's not for everybody. Maybe it will be in the future, and it may never be for most brands. But I think, having that easy turnkey activation to show them the win, I think goes a long way. That's what esports does. That's what you guys do. That's what Twitch did when you were there and Chad was there, and like for a long time, and still to some capacity, I could say does it. That's what things like, that's why you see brands, buying media integrations in games like Candy Crush or Zynga, right? These are $1 billion opportunities. And so those are good entryways for brands to get into the space. And, there are opportunities for them. But, I think as brand marketers start seeing the value of gaming and seeing more wins, I think they're going to, start opening up to like, hey, real strategic approaches as they would do in traditional sports. And I can tell you right now, like, our Chipotle program, it went, most gaming campaigns, as are like a month, right? Or a weekend. But our Chipotle programs for the last couple of years with the fighting game community have been 10 to 12 month programs. And they've seen a 2x increase in purchase intent. Now, there were certain bottom funnel tactics like buy, get offers, but that 2x increase in purchase intent exceeds that month window for a buy, get offer. And so it shows that like, consideration's up, brand awareness is up, and then purchase intent's up. Why? Because the brand's coming in and showing up as an insider, and that community feels like we're talking to them, and they're rewarding the brand, not only by cheering for them at Evo, which is an amazing moment, but also like continuing to support the brand through purchase behavior.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You talk a lot about kind of the successes that you've had and the industries and stuff like that you found. When you're working with partners, obviously, like there is a definite reality that one size doesn't fit all, right? Having a strategy where you just sponsor Beyonce is not a music strategy, right? But if you look at a particular genre of video games like Chipotle has done and really invested heavily in FGC over the last couple of years, talk a little bit about the ROI that you're seeing from that, and a little bit more about how you've transitioned from just being a brand that's seen on screen to a brand that's essentially cheered.
Yeah, and I think it starts. You hit on something I want to jump on, is that not every game community, there is not a one size fits all strategy in gaming, right? We know that there isn't. You're gonna capture the hearts and minds of everyone by just buying media on Twitch, right? That's just not how it works. Every genre of game, every community is different, and how they want to be interacted with, how you show up an insider is different. You could cast a wide net on platforms, again, like Twitch, or, partnering with Discord, or maybe like YouTube gaming. Or you can really be like really strategic and focused. I think it starts with asking brand marketers, who do you want to reach, and really educating them where that community is, where that demographic is, and the pathways in to reach them. Because every brand probably over indexes with Call of Duty, right? Right, every brand, because it's such a big game. But not every brand marketer is going to be okay with the first-person violence of Call of Duty. However, those that have seen massive success, right? And that is a culture. Call of Duty is a cultural platform at this point. Them bringing in all these different pop entertainment opportunities within their platforms, with the skins and the avatars and experiences. And so we always start with, who do you want to reach, and then figuring out, using our industry expertise and our awesome insights and research team to kind of dive into where they should be, and really trying to educate them. And then I think from there, it's also the quick follow-up is, what are your goals and objectives, right? And if your goals and objectives are strictly conversion, that's a tough one, because conversion takes time to unlock. It takes time to create a relationship. You just don't go into the NFL and expect to see conversion. You have to create that relationship, and it's no different in gaming. Just because we're in gaming doesn't mean the marketing playbook changes. The playbook and the needs are still there, right? You invest in a property, you have to have a certain amount of money to invest in that property for the partnership, and then a certain amount to activate that partnership. Those things don't change, right? So I think that understanding the goals, objectives, who they're trying to reach, will help you eventually lead to how do you achieve that ROI that they're looking for? Because again, every platform is different. What we can do with you guys is vastly different maybe than what we could do with a platform like Discord. Sure, there's similarities. And honestly, if you're smart, you could make those two things play really nicely together, so that they, it's kind of like rising tides for everybody. And that's what we've done with a lot of our programs, is kind of like, how do we unlock our relationships and value for that rising tides, achievement of the brand's goals and objectives.
Yeah, I think as you talk a lot about this, there's a lot of the natural ecosystems of, the ads and the advertising and stuff like that. I think as we go into 2025, 2026, from an engagement perspective, talk about where you see the opportunity for brands in terms of not only getting the eyeballs and the viewership, but more importantly, as a sports marketer previously getting into video games, that there's two sides of this equation, right? There's people that are watching and people that are playing. And oftentimes the people that are playing are either untenable, you can't reach them, or it's really difficult to reach and engage people in these environments and these partnerships. That's becoming more and more available via platforms like Overwolf. So give us a little bit of insight in terms of how you see opportunities for engagement coming with platforms like Overwolf and others in 25 and beyond.
I think to your point, there are the players, and the players are very hard to reach, right? Especially when they're playing the game. And you don't want to be evasive to their playing experience. That's where that negative sentiment will come. And no brand wants negative sentiment. You want that positive sentiment. You want to be additive to their experience. I think that's something that Overwolf's done a really great job of. And obviously, you're going to continue to unlock that. And I think, Overwolf is obviously a PC focused platform. And for brand marketers, that's probably the one platform that they're probably least knowledgeable, right? They understand consoles, they understand mobile. There's challenges with mobile, there's challenges with console, but I think PC is really interesting, right? And I think Overwolf, you have to understand, like, I have a monitor here, and then I'm talking to you on this monitor, right? And so when I play games, I'm playing on this monitor, and I have something else on this monitor, usually some sort of Overwolf overlay, which helps me play the game better. And so now I'm playing. I quickly look to the side, and I'm like, I got to buy this. I just got killed. I got to go back to base. Got to buy this, and then, thank you. Thank you, so-and-so brand. You now are seeing like that. I love this game, and you're part of my experience because you're partnered with Overwolf. And now you're helping me in my journey to be a better gamer. Or maybe it's other overlays, or maybe it's mod packs that we talked about earlier. And I think that's really smart, right? Because, I remember when we used to play too much Minecraft, and we partnered with Carl Jacobs for Chipotle. And, we would use, CurseForge, and, that's obviously one of your guys' properties. And like the mod packs within Curse make it very easy to up your Minecraft experience, right? There's millions of mod packs out there, that really like make the game look better or add content into games. And so, whether it be Minecraft or other games, like if you're a brand that's into that, like if you're looking to especially engage the most, PC gamers are the most engaged, right? They're also the hardest to reach, but Overwolf makes it much easier to reach them in an additive way as opposed to an invasive way, be part of their experience, level up their experience, as to just be like a passive like advertiser, on their journey on PC gaming. And I think that's really valuable for what you guys, you guys bring to the table.
I think the last question I'll ask, I have two, but I'll get to both of them. But I think, in terms of agency partnership and in terms of your team and how you work with partners and vendors, talk about the importance of turnkey, and talk about the importance of just, from a logistics perspective, being able to turn things around faster and quicker, because it sounds like in my experience, that's not something that always comes with a gaming partnership, is fast, quick, and turnkey. It feels like oftentimes it's long, robust, and in-depth.
I mean, it depends on the brand. I really think it depends on the brand. A lot of brands, every brand marketer out there probably says, I want to operate at the speed of culture, but then it takes them 8 to 10 months to get something approved when you bring something that's hot in the moment. So you're not operating at the speed of culture, because gaming and pop culture operates within seconds, right? And trends and things that go viral. And so if you're a brand marketer, you want to operate at the speed of culture, really figure out a process to operate at the speed of culture. And I think gaming, and especially creators and games, lend themselves really well. Case in point, Marvel Rivals, right? Very hot game a couple months ago, as it came out of Q1, Q2. Kind of, and I would say the key moment to sponsor or partner with Marvel Rivals was to probably around March, April timeframe. And, now we maybe have seen a little bit dip in that game's ecosystem for a variety of reasons. And that's just what happens with new games. And so that was an immense opportunity for brands to take advantage of that cultural moment. And where the game publisher, I believe, was out of China and poses its own kind of distinct differences in terms of business, people could have looked to you guys as a platform, because Marvel Rivals, yes, it's on multiple platforms, but PC platform is a very engaged platform, a ton of players on PC. And ton of players using your Overwolf overlays to understand the game better, play it better, capture content from it better. And so there was an opportunity to operate at the speed of culture and work with Overwolf to unlock that, and not have to essentially go through this whole process of maybe getting in touch with the publisher overseas and having different cultural needs and wants in terms of business, negotiating with them. It's like, hey, Nate, I want to do something in Marvel Rivals. Do you have the opportunity to do it? Yeah. Oh yeah, Chris, here's some cool ideas and we can make this happen in, 2 weeks, a week. And I think that, that speaks volumes to like, that is a true operating at the speed of culture opportunity, right? Now, of course, there's things you can do with content creators that are, maybe, hey, there's opportunity happening tomorrow. Most brands are going to operate like that. Like, that's just not how it is. And honestly, I have to educate a lot of our partners, especially on the talent agency side. Like, oh, we got something happening next week. It's like this really cool thing. And like, we would love to get a brand. And I'm like, bro, like, what? Like, that's next week. Like, we have all these other things going on. Like, what about 2 months ago? Oh, we didn't know about it. Think ahead. Brands need time to like lock stuff in. And I think being turnkey definitely helps, right? And I think that's where guys like you come in, understanding how brands activate what they need to kind of get things signed off on, making it easy for folks like myself, especially if we have clients who need a little bit more of the crawl or walk stage as opposed to the run stage. And so, there are always going to be times. I mean, it happens in traditional sports as well, right? And I think, there's tons of things. I think that's where like a Barstool or like a Bleacher Report, they come in really well. They operate at the speed of culture because they can, because they're a platform. And if you're a partner of them in traditional sports and you're a brand that's willing to take that aggressive stance, you maybe could kind of ride that wave. But it's hard for brands to operate at the speed of culture. And you think about gaming, it's even harder. And that's why I think turnkey opportunities are really clutch, especially for newer brands getting into the space.
Yeah, we're halfway through the year. We're coming in. Obviously, we're starting to talk about Q4 already, and obviously 2026. Additionally, Chris, what are you telling brands about? What are the things that you're focusing on and talking about in terms of what's something that they need to be aware of and excited about for the second half of this year, and obviously going into 26?
Well, me as a gamer, I'm very excited about Borderlands 4. But that's not for every brand. However, I do know that 2K's already got some really cool brands signed up for that game. That's going to be probably one of the biggest game releases of this year. I think for us, right, go back to who do you want to reach and what are you trying to do? But if people are like, Chris, what are like some trends that you need to be thinking of as a brand? Okay, there's a couple things. One, esports, everyone's like esports winner, esports is dead, but esports is not dead. It did see a 1% growth, 1% growth last year. I think it was 2.9 billion hours. But listen, when you had like a 10% growth combined the 2 years before and like a 20% during the COVID years, like having a 1% growth, like a lot of people would be cool for a 1% growth, right? And so let's be real, like in the context, esports is not dead. I think knowing that though, there's I don't want to give away like our secret sauce, Nate. Like I don't want to tell other people out there what we're doing, but I will say if you do any kind of research or pay attention at all to gaming, co-streamed esports is a massive opportunity. Essentially working with big name creators like a Scump from Optic or a Tarek from the Sentinels. And Scump's, Scump essentially what happens is think about this. If you're a brand marketer, the Manning cast of Monday Night Football, except for major esports events, right? And so Scump creates a watch party with some of his buddies. They have a beautiful setup, a very well put together broadcast, and they essentially co-stream the Call of Duty League. And last year, co-streamed esports accounted for almost 45% of all consumed esports. Think about that. And the opportunity for brands to tie into those co-streamed esports. And you think about doing something fast or turnkey. We love working with our game publishers, especially, those with their big esports leagues, but sometimes it takes time. If you're a brand and you want to see the benefit and success of maybe one of these leagues or these events, it's a nice way to test and see that scale and that cultural relevance with co-streamed esports. I think that is an immense opportunity. I think another thing is the Hollywood tapping into gaming IPs is not stopping, right? Yes, unfortunate situation again with the Borderlands movie, but the Minecraft movie, massive, right? Sonic 3 made more money than Sonic 2, which made more money than Sonic 1. Sonic 4 is already on the horizon. They got, every movie at the end, there's that post-credit scene. Here's the new character, right? And so Sega's killing it right now with that, right? And Sega has almost become an entertainment company as opposed to a video game publisher. And it's a very smart move by them. But that's also helping them grow the Sonic franchise in terms of a game. I think one of the top Roblox games is like a Sonic speedrun game, right? And so obviously that's translating to the youth audience. And so I think gaming being brought into Hollywood, Last of Us, Arcane. But one of the things that's really interesting, again, going to give a little bit of our secret sauce, is when these games go to Hollywood, whether it be TV or movies, for instance, Fallout Fallout 70, when Fallout came out on Amazon last year, Fallout 76, a game that was 7 or 8 years old, the last game of the series, had an 1,100% increase in game viewership. So if you're a brand and you identify that and you want to be in gaming, you're like, hey, a new Fallout season is coming. Maybe Fallout, maybe we don't have the budget, maybe we don't have the appetite to partner with Amazon on Fallout. However, what about a Fallout content creator? Because we know all eyes are going to be on them. And what if we go when we partner with them to create some really cool content, storytelling opportunities, tap into their stream? So I think those two things are interesting. There's other things. I also think like this UGC content kind of thing. I think what you guys are doing with creators and games like Arc and other opportunities as they continue to open up, and like how brands are going to be able to get really creative in existing game IPs is going to be something that brands need to keep an eye on, right? And how do they work with platforms like Overwolf to create like these incentivized challenges or rewards or in-game content, UGC, to really unlock the power of those games? And it doesn't have to be a new game, right? I don't even know how old Arc is, but the fact that I keep seeing Arc all over the place in content, and it's a really tapped in community and all this cool stuff you guys are doing, like, speaks volumes to it. The most played games are League of Legends is what, 15 years old? Fortnite's coming up on 8, 9 years old. Like Grand Theft Auto, forget it. Grand Theft Auto is not most opportunity for most brands, but Grand Theft Auto 5's been out for a decade and it's still one of the most watched, if not the most watched game on Twitch. So you don't have to always chase the shiny new toy if you're a brand. There are existing games, League of Legends, Fortnite, other games out there that provide unique Minecraft, that provide incredible ways in for your brand to engage a really passionate and scaled community.
Amazing. Chris Mann, the leader at REVXP. Appreciate the insights in our Leaderboard Insights series. We will talk again soon. I'm Nathan Lindberg. See you next time.
Bye, guys.